Hey everybody, welcome to the Rubin Report. I'm Dave Rubin, and I am over the top, beyond bonkers, excited for this comedy-licious edition of the Rubin Report. We have two ladies with me this week. One of them that I spent every Saturday night with from 1989 to say 1993, and one of them that I spent every night of the week with on a street corner in New York City from about 2001 to 2006. First, we have Miss Jackée Harry. You know her from 227, from Sister Sister, from The First Family right now, and man, you are really the hardest working woman in showbiz. You just shot the pilot for Girl Meets World. Yeah. How you doing, Jackée?
Hi! The hardest working. Hey, she works pretty hard too, so.
Oh, no.
this week. One. And this one, this hard-working lady. Oh, you know her from Best Week Ever, but basically, everyone knows you from, is it still the #1 sitcom?
Yes, I'll say
on television?
Yes.
This little thing called The Big Bang Theory.
Yes. That is I. And the street corner. Can we clarify?
Yeah.
That sounds like we were turning tricks.
No, what were we doing on the street corner? Let's get it out right up front.
We were turning tricks, and we were also handing out flyers to see stand-up comedy.
Yes.
At the time.
We, Melissa and I, survived. We are survivors from the stand-up comedy days, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. So I want to talk comedy. We're going to do this whole thing about comedy and funny people and the ladies of comedy. Yeah. So Jackée, we're going to start with you. Comedy, where does it come from? Are you born with it? What's the deal?
Yes.
Born
Timing,
with it.
yes.
Yeah.
WC Fields, Rodney Dangerfield told me, baby, if you ain't got no time, baby, you ain't funny, baby. You got no jokes, baby. You gotta be funny, But there are no new jokes, baby. There are no new jokes, right? There are no new jokes, in case you don't understand what I just said.
Yeah, I got it.
But you gotta have timing or not. You can learn it to some extent, but you gotta really have it. You know, you can be a funny person, but maybe not have timing. So that'll throw it off, but you gotta have timing, and you gotta have maybe these days wit.
Yeah. We'd like to think so,
It used to be
right?
slam bam, comedy, which I loved. Those old movies with that funny Harold with Lloyd, all those. I watch all that stuff, but Lucy's my favorite comedian, to this day still. Yeah. Because she does physical humor, which I like. So you gotta have some physical humor, but it's like Ellen DeGeneres is witty. Yeah. Clever.
And did you have it? When you were 5, 6 years old, were they going, that Jackée?
No.
You didn't have it then?
No, it came at 16. My girlfriend took me out. We cut class 3rd period, and she gave me my first joint. Okay, I ain't smoking now. I got lit. And then I went to acting class for 5 years, and I blossomed. And it came out, Who knew? I didn't plan on it, because I was a dramatic actress. I didn't want to do 227. It was a comedian. I said, I'll ruin my career. Because I was doing great things in New York.
Yeah.
It's like my girlfriend says, I was doing Moscow on the Hudson with Robin Williams. I had a movie, I had a play, and then this little thing, 227, came along. I stole that from Nichelle Nichols. She said, I had a great career. I was with Pearl Bailey on Broadway. She said this little thing called Star Trek came along. So
and it all worked out.
What you plan, even her sitting here, I didn't know she was stand-up with you. I mean, how could I know that? that you actually were a working stand-up person, and people look at you and they go, oh, how'd she get that job? They do. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I don't think Jackée is coming for your gig on
No, I know. Looking at it, I can tell, because it's like, but you worked for it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about working for it. Were you born, I know your story, but were you born with it? Did you just pop out of the womb going, I'm making people laugh?
I think it was always definitely like an outlet for me. I was a super shy kid, and that was always my way of expressing myself, I think.
And you started stand-up. When was your first performance?
I remember getting my first laugh in my parents' living room, watching Three's Company and doing a Don Knotts imitation. Yeah. And my dad laughing, and then that allowed me to stay up later. And then I begged my parents to let me enter this beauty pageant, and I was not like a kid who should have been entering in beauty pageants, but this flyer came to my house and it said that there was a talent competition, and I was like, that's my chance to do stand-up. I was toothless, and my parents were like, yeah, I don't think we should be entering you in a beauty pageant. And then they were like, if you save up half the money for the entry fee, then you could do it. They didn't think I would, and I did, and we entered the beauty pageant.
Well, Melissa, we have a crack staff here, and we have attained some of that videotape. 1988.
Goodness.
This is Melissa Rauch doing stand-up comedy for the first time.
Next impersonation I'm going to do is Jackée, please, Sandra, and
Shock and awe. Oh, how cute.
I was obsessed with you as a kid.
I'm amazed.
I did a lot of show and tell as Jackée.
Oh my God.
I was a weird kid.
Yeah. Now I'm
glad this is paying off now.
Yeah.
Because
I'm guessing you've seen a billion Jackée impressions.
2 billion gazillion.
Where does that fall?
But top 200.
dream of dreams.
It's right there.
No, but you never think about that. That's what I'm saying. You just do comedy. Because we all copy somebody and then you make it yours. See, that's my thing. I don't like people copying and then continuing to do it.
Yeah.
I was looking, and this is kind of controversial for me. Not for me, but I was looking at Taxi the other night, the old series Taxi, and Jeff Conaway, God rest his soul, I loved him. We were great friends. And he always said that John Travolta and other people stole his character from that show. And I kept going, what does he mean? I see what he meant. I finally got it. You know what I mean? You know, the little isms, I call them, but when you make them your own, then they're yours. And that's what John Travolta did. He made it his own. Yeah. So you can't let somebody steal your stuff, because comedians steal, y'all know that. You go to a comedy store and you hear your joke.
Right
we all do. But certain people go to steal.
I used to do Jay set verbatim.
Oh, a lot of Transformer jokes.
Tons of Transformer jokes.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about our beginning stand-up days. Now, with Jackée, you said you did a little stand-up back in the day.
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm no good at it. I'll kill people if they don't laugh. I can't stand when they don't laugh.
The worst.
But comedians, you got to barrel on through, right?
Did you like doing it though?
No.
No.
Then you shouldn't have been doing it.
But I was great. No, I did great. I do a great set. I do a great set, but I'm just conscious that I gotta be fabulous. I wanna, most comedians, but they go, oh, I bombed. You know when you bomb. Yeah. But then you're big. It's like what Chris Rock said. Did you read that? He thought he was all of that. He was going around doing his thing, he's all that in a bag of chips. And he said one night before he went on, the opening act came on, he heard the audience roaring. And he's like, what the hell? He goes out, and it's Martin Lawrence. He said it's like watching somebody screw your wife. Yeah. And he didn't use the word screw.
Yeah, but that's what every comedian fears, is somebody else getting the bigger laugh. So we did stand up though for like 6 or 7 years. We stood out on corners. What was it? I know what it was like for me, but what was it like for you?
It was some tough times. I mean, I loved it, and I think it definitely made me a stronger person and all that. But I think the actual performing was fantastic, and I learned so much. But then I think handing out those flyers on the street started to break me as a person. There was a moment I remember, I think we've spoken about this. I was thinking about coming out to LA, and I was kind of procrastinating, and I was standing on the street corner handing out flyers, and it was between the early show and the late show, so it was like 10:30, 11 while the Broadway shows were getting out, and I was in this big hoodie and my fingerless gloves so I could get the flyers out, and my hands were all cracked. And this little girl comes out of The Lion King with her mom, and I was like, come see comedy. And she looked at her mom, and she was like, Mommy, that is so sad. And I just had this meltdown of she's entirely right, and I need to rethink my life. And then that was kind of a push to get me to come out to LA.
To come out to sunny LA. Do you guys ever miss the old days? Do you miss before you were on the sitcoms and before you made it, and that struggle phase?
No. I don't miss it at all.
Nothing?
No, nothing. I maybe miss the way I was. I was more trusting, weren't you? More, I had more friends who I could actually count on more than 2 hands. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because your circle gets smaller as you become more successful.
But don't people think of it the other way, right? They think, oh, big star, you got money, you're going to have all these great people around you.
Yeah, I had all that. And they run through your money and your house. Yeah. Yeah. And you just learn to stop trusting. It's just one of those things where you have to have your privacy. Yeah. It's like this big thing with Reese Witherspoon, not to get out, but it's like, who knew? Who cared? Yeah. But it's like in the age of Twitter and social media, everybody's all in your business.
Yeah, well, this is partly why I wanted to bring you two together, because it's like you're kind of on the same path that Jackée is ahead of you on, and it's kind of cool. Do you, I mean, you're not that far out.
You're not very good compliment, thank you.
Well, you were doing impressions of her when you were 7, so
I've been gunning for this my entire life. This is everything in my life has led to this moment.
To this very moment.
This is my moment. Go ahead.
But do you miss what I think of now, because we're out of it, as the good old days? But at the time, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, there was some tough time. I mean, we got paid in food that from a restaurant that was later shut down for food violations.
Literally by the Board of Health shut down the place we were working. Yeah.
And that was dinner every night,
Yeah.
and I mean, barely cab fare home. So I mean, I wouldn't trade that in for anything in the world.
Right. But does it seem romantic to you yet? Like when you were waiting tables and things like that? Have you got to that point yet?
It doesn't. I think it's still very, very recent for me. So yeah, I still have my waitressing apron. I think with like food stuck to it in a drawer somewhere. I like hang it on my wall as a cautionary tale of a place I don't want to go back to. But yeah, I think there was parts of it that were great, but also there was definitely a struggle there. But I enjoyed it as it was happening.
Yeah. All right, so since I'm talking to two great ladies of comedy, it seems that women in comedy is actually hotter than men in comedy now. Between Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, Rebel Wilson's like the hottest one at the moment. Do you guys think that that the day of the woman in comedy is here to stay? Melissa, you first.
I mean, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful notion. I'm so thrilled that there's support for women in comedy. I mean, I think women in comedy, women have always been funny, and I think that there's like, I'm asked a lot, like, do you think women aren't funny, or is there a difference between male and female humor? I think funny is funny, and I think that people are finally realizing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think during the 50s, 60s, 70s, a lot of shows were headed by females, if you notice. And then it died out after the Cosby Show went off. It really all just died out. And I'm not just talking about African American, all female shows, female-led shows, you know, but now they're back on the rise. But Tina Fey's a wonderful writer, and you have to write your own stuff. That's really what it is. It's just like rappers, singers. You have to now write your own jokes. You have to, or have a team that knows you. And fortunately for me, I had some great writers coming up, Richard Vassy and Tracy Gamble. They used to write for Golden Girls, and they could hear my voice. And some great writers now. I'm first fan with Byron and Allen. They can hear. When people can hear your tenor, like in your show, they write for you, which is great, but you can't write for everybody. So a woman has to write for herself, but we're definitely on the rise, but we still have trouble. We can't do like men do. We look just mean and bitchy. And it's not good, and that's a shame, because it would be nice to be that way and not be judged.
Yeah, well, we're kind of jumping to something that I wanted to get to later, but I think this is perfect. So you're right. So there was like this thing where you had Lucy and Mary Tyler Moore and all these women that were huge.
Ellen,
and then it kind of, around Cosby, late
Brett
80s.
Butler, gone.
It just disappeared. Now you got a spin-off from 227 that it made the pilot, and then that was it. Was it a little bit early? Was it a little bit early for a female-dominated
No, I just
sitcom?
didn't have a showrunner. I didn't have the right politics. I know now. This is years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to have a showrunner, the right producer, and somebody sold my producer 2 slots rather than 3, and so they trade you off for a better deal. It's done all the time. Yeah. So I don't take this business personal at all. It's never personal unless somebody punches you in the face. I take that personal, but everything else is sticks and stones. You really have to be that way. And when you leave an audition, this is my advice. I know you didn't ask this to any up-and-coming actor, comedian. Leave the audition and leave it right there in the room. Don't take it with you into the street. Just go home and continue doing what don't think about it. Oh, I need this job, because I've been there. I mean, I cried over a job I lost as recently as, what's that show where the girl smokes pot and she sells it and then she goes with a DEA guy. She's on cable. You know what I'm talking about.
Weeds?
Yes, weeds, thank you.
Smokes pot, weeds, I kind of put that one together. Yeah.
But I forget it, but I wanted that part so bad, and the girl on there is great, but I was like crying in tears because it was 2 of us, and I didn't get it. I usually win. Let me knock on wood. I do, I usually win, but I didn't win that one. I was so upset, and I was morbid for like 3 months, and then it came on, I went, oh no, that wasn't my part. No. Because I didn't agree with the material either, and I didn't know that. Who knew? So sometimes it's not for you.
Yeah, what do you guys think about having to be sort of sexy in comedy? Because girls sort of have to be. It's just the way it is. Guys can be sort of fat, slovenly losers. Every sitcom is about some disheveled schmuck who
With a
can't really
girl.
do anything, and he has a gorgeous girl. But you, I mean, both of you on all your shows and on Big Bang now, you guys are sexy, even if you even it's nerdy sexy, it's nerdy hot. Like, how does that play?
Like Sophia, I love her. Sophia Vergara,
Yeah.
Modern Family, I love her.
Yeah.
You're right. I lied. I do like sexy and funny.
There you go. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with it?
I mean, I think on Big Bang, I think what they do so beautifully is smart. They make smart sexy.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not in anything that's like super revealing or anything like that, but they write very, very smart.
Very witty.
Is it weird as an actress when, you know, so much of what you do has to do with your look in a certain way, and then they scale it back for you when you're on air because you have to either be wearing glasses or wear things that maybe you wouldn't normally wear, that kind of stuff?
We can see she's sexy. I don't
No,
know.
well,
She thinks she hot. But we see you, honey.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think she has a crush on you.
That is very exciting to me. I'm very excited by that. I kind of like it. It kind of sets the bar low. That way, if I go somewhere without the glasses and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, well, you look a little better.
It looks, yeah.
It's
And
better than like them really vamping me up, and then I go somewhere else, and they're like,
Yeah.
Right?
they really do a good job for you.
Very good.
I
All
know,
right.
you look better in person. That's what they always say, right?
yeah.
You look, you
Which
look
is
better
the
in
most
person. by the way.
passive-aggressive
You fine, as a
compliment.
matter of fact. Your pictures on Twitter, they cute, but you fine. I thought I'd say that.
Well,
Isn't
we
he
can end the
good
show
looking?
now. I think we. I got what I needed
He's
out
a
of this. Look at me.
little blush.
I'm blushing. Jackée Harry made me blush.
Everybody's not fine.
All right, let's talk sitcoms, because I've got two sitcom stars here. And people seem to think that the day of the sitcom may be coming to a close. Reality TV is mucking everything up. But you guys are both on great shows. And as I just said, you just shot a pilot for what I think is going to be another huge show in Girl Meets World. Do you think that the sitcom will always be here to stay, even though the television landscape is changing?
I do. I think as long as there's smart, intelligent writers out there, I think there'll always be a place for it. And I think that there's a special place in everyone's heart for it. I think there's a lot of comfort in it.
Yeah.
I think reality TV is I'm guilty of watching it. I think it's a great way to numb out.
Yeah.
But I think that there's something when you want to actually laugh and bring a gift to your soul, then you'll tune into something with a soul.
So you're saying,
You know? And I'm saying that as someone who actually does numb out with reality TV, but sometimes you don't want to numb out and you want to engage.
It's a guilty pleasure,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's true. I
Yeah.
watch Snapped.
But is it particularly guilty?
yeah.
You make your living from the three-camera traditional sitcom thing that everyone loves, and I agree, it is like this comforting thing that reality TV doesn't give you comfort. So is it particularly guilt-full when you're watching it?
Yes, but you know what I like? I like when I watch something and you start laughing out loud. You don't even intend to. You're just watching it, and then you get this big laugh.
Yeah.
You know, it is. It just releases you. Laughter releases you from the stress that is surely there every day.
Yeah.
It's there every day. I mean, this phone here is stressful.
So I think both of your stories are kind of interesting because you jumped in on Big Bang with a great ensemble cast, and you jumped in when the show was a couple seasons in, and you became the breakout star of a show that was an ensemble cast, but you became bigger than the star that was supposed to be the big star.
Lord.
We'll get to that, but
Oh, Jesus.
what was it like jumping in on something that was huge already, but since you've joined, really has become like huge? That's three huges.
That was it 3? It might have been
4.
It did. It caught on the second season. Big Bang didn't catch on the first season because I watched it.
What season did you jump in on?
I came in the 3rd season. It was a dream come true. It was supposed to be a one-time thing as a.
Everybody wanted that job. I remember. Everybody wanted that gig. I remember. Like, how'd she get that job?
I was so
Grueling.
excited.
Yeah.
So excited. And I was a fan of the show before I joined the cast. So coming in just for that one episode I was supposed to do, I was over the moon excited. And that cast is amazing. They're all just such a great group of people. And so it's been just a dream come true.
Yeah. Was
I
it
can't
tough
say
though to
enough.
jump in on something that was, although it wasn't as huge as it is now, that was successful, obviously, and now, I mean, it's the #1 comedy in the country, and you know, your face is on every subway.
Surreal.
I know you're beating 2.5 Men.
It's very surreal. It's very, I mean, I'm super grateful for it. I think, you know, the cast was so welcoming. I think the writers did a fantastic job of making it a very organic transition. So it wasn't just like, we're bringing on new characters and we're shoving it in your face.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful to them for that, because I think that, you know, whenever you're bringing in new characters to an already established, already successful entity, it could be, you know, it could be hard. Yeah, but I think they did it. The architects behind the show and our producers and our writers, I think, did it really
like,
naturally.
who's this new character? What's she doing here? People get resentful and they get scared.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, you kind of had the reverse thing, because 227 was an established success show, but you were by far the breakout star. I mean, everybody knew Sandra, Mary, and could recite every one of your lines. How did that feel to you? How was it like working with everybody? And
difficult. And believe it or not, at this age and at this time and all, it still goes on. It really does. It doesn't get, you think it would lessen, it doesn't. But I tell, it's heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'll wear the darn crown. That's what I say. Yeah, because either you're gonna be funny or not. I mean, it takes courage to be successful. So when you get it, like she came and did the job, you did one show, which I love hearing, because that's what I did. I was only supposed to do 7 shows. Yeah. And they wrote it in, like you said. So, but
so originally for 227, you were supposed to do
that's why I just went all out. I was like, it's only 7 shows, what I got to lose? I'll give me another job. That's the way you feel. And she probably did that. I'm gonna do my best, so you connect. You know, you connect the dots. I call it. You know, but it's not easy being successful. You know, sometimes it's like, who you think you? And when you show up to auditions or somewhere, somebody's gig, they go, it's like, you know, it's like, I'm here, you know. Yeah. You really, so I push that back. When I'm off now, I used to be all of that, very braggadocio, but I let that go because it's just too much work.
All right, well, I'm gonna humble you both right now, because I know every actor says, oh, I can't watch myself. I can't watch myself. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make you both watch yourself. Let's go to the videotape.
He's awful.
Ow. So you guys are getting along?
Yeah, I guess. We're very different people, Howard, so communication's a little tricky.
Does he like the pancakes?
He didn't try them yet!
All right, so that's Melissa Rauch as Bernadette.
You definitely look better in person.
Oh, thank you.
How do you feel when you watch that? Because everyone says that thing about, oh, I don't like watching myself, but yet we're public figures, so it's like, I feel like people don't understand why it's tough.
I don't know.
Critical, self-critical.
Yeah.
Even now
What
she
you
was
said.
looking to see, you know, the way we moved, we could have done something else, you know, and it was funny. But you always think, I could have done something else. I don't know.
So when you're watching that, you're thinking, oh, is it a visual thing, or it's about the acting? It's just everything.
It's everything. I mean, even if, have you ever left a voicemail for someone and then you hear it back and you're like, I don't sound like that. I mean, granted, I'm putting on voices and things like that, but it's that, except it's everything. Yeah. It's like listening to a voicemail while looking in the mirror.
Oh, heavy. Ooh, she's deep. She's deep.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
very deep. Well, you know what? Let's get deep. Let's show Miss Jackée Harry.
Oh, Jesus.
Something you must have in order to live.
A man.
One of the 7 wonders of the world.
A rich man.
Something that improves with age.
A young man.
A Christmas present you'd exchange.
A old man.
A condemned person's last request.
Ending man.
Oh my gosh.
Now, see, it's a little different.
Where are you?
They're there.
Oh, they're there.
Ah, thank
They're
you,
there.
kids. Thank you, kids.
We just talked to Jackée Harry's
And that was
breast.
a wonderful
We
Ray
did.
Coombs.
We double
The
teamed
late
your boobs.
Ray Coombs was there, who was lovely.
Yeah.
A comedian as well.
He was a comedian.
Yes.
And he killed himself, which comedy
I
has this
know.
dark thing.
He was
where
he was a manic
Bring it back
depressive.
to
Did
the
you know
boobs.
that? Manic depressive, yes.
Yeah. Well,
Undiagnosed.
let's focus on Jackée there. How do you feel when you're watching? Now, that's 20 years ago or so, or 15 years, whatever it is. So you have a little time. Melissa, that was probably about a year ago. How do you feel when you look back on something like that?
I'm shocked and appalled.
No.
I'm glad that I didn't know, because if I had known, I might have tailored it or tapered it down. I had no, I was just going for the funny and just, you know, the rapidity of the moment. You know, but now, you know, I can do stuff so quickly, and I can tell you can too. You pick it up, you can too. You have to be like this. You have to quit, so I don't judge as much. You know, I kind of just make sure that it looks good and not stupid. You know what I mean? But I don't mind doing stupid humor either. I don't mind slapstick, all of that.
Yeah.
I don't mind I can tell you, I don't mind rolling around on the ground to get a laugh. You know? Did you see those guys on MTV, by the way, with their pants down? Seth Rogen and did you see them? Well,
Seth
anyway.
Rogen with his pants down on MTV?
MTV, you know those awards they give out, those silly awards.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, speaking of putting your pants down. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress.
That was a complete digression. All right. Well, let's talk about a little digression, because it's not all about the work, on the set with the ladies' good hands there, Melissa. I want to talk a little bit about how you guys interact with fans, how social media plays a part in what you do. And what's pretty cool is that Jackée and I are sitting here because I was harassing you on Twitter enough for you to follow me, and now we're tweeting once or twice a week. And obviously, can we tell you? Yeah, go ahead.
Dave is responsible for me being on Twitter. For years, he kept on saying, you need to get on the Twitter. And
what did you say?
I was like, no,
Me too.
I'm so scared of it,
Yeah.
no. And we kind of made a deal that I would get on Twitter and you would move to LA. That was pretty much like the same.
Yeah.
It was in that conversation,
Yeah.
I think, that we both had made that decision. I really didn't want to.
Me either.
You didn't?
No, because everybody knows where you are, your business. But my girlfriend Eva Marcel, she told me, I said, why do you do it? She said, because it keeps you current and relevant. I was like, what does that mean? And she's right. We wouldn't be sitting here now. But it keeps you right in the now of the moment. You know? And you have to be a curious person to be on Twitter. You can't just be on there just to get fans.
Yeah.
It really doesn't work that way, or to get fans to watch your stuff. You really have to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people know that you're not that bright, or you're just a liar. And you can't be a liar, which I have just found out. When you lie, it really does catch up with you. Do you know what I mean?
On Twitter and in real life.
Yes, you can't keep it together. You know what I mean? And your work suffers when you're just covering up all the time. It really is just a mess.
Yeah. Melissa, what's your social media policy in terms of how much you can give of yourself and, share everything with the fans and that whole thing?
I pretty much just if I think of a joke, I'll tweet it, or if I want to talk about the show that night, I'll tell everyone to tune in. But I don't talk about I did this today with this person at this time at this place. And this is my blood type and my social security number. I'm kind of very all right, I'm gonna tweet this now because I had this idea.
Yeah.
But I'm not on it a lot.
Now, Jackée, you give a lot of very personal, sort of heartwarming advice. Where did that come from?
From me wanting to be a mentor to young ladies, specifically from age 16 to 54. Yeah. And I say that specifically because sometimes you look across the table and you're the only woman, like that book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. You're not the only person out there. You can look across the table and see, like the Yahoo woman. I met her, I was gagging. Because you don't have anybody, Hillary Clinton, when she looks across the room, there's nobody there, but they're out there. So put it out there so people can know you're not alone. You know what I mean? So don't feel and you come in your room and I know you close your door and you go, because it'll beat you down, because the husband, the children, and women feel guilt. And I'm telling them, feel guiltless. Yeah. It's harder, but if you're successful, you're going to be alone. Even if you're married, because you're going to be in that hotel room after a gig, at some point by yourself having to deal with something dreadfully lonely, which is, where's my check? And, I mean, things.
But now you have Twitter to keep you connected
yes,
with the world.
Yes, it keeps you connected so you don't go into some pit of self-pity sometimes, you know?
Do you ever feel that the fans demand, they want the sort of insider, who is Melissa Rauch kind of thing?
I don't know. Do you think I should do more of an insider thing?
I think we're doing it. We're doing it right now.
I will do whatever you tell me to do on Twitter, Dave Rubin.
Yeah?
You're responsible for getting me on Twitter.
Yeah.
So you tell me what I need to do.
I think you're doing it right.
Okay.
I think you're doing it right.
Okay.
So you guys are getting a little bit of your voices out, but I want to talk about your voices, because both of you, another thing you guys have in common is so much of what you do is based on your characters' voices that are kind of like your real voices, but not quite. So Melissa, I'll start with you because Bernadette, I know where Bernadette comes from, but can you give the people, where does the voice come from?
Bernadette's voice is very similar to my mother's. Except without the Jersey accent, say. But it's my mother. It's not quite quite that high, but it's in that tone, in that range.
And do people think that's what you're supposed to sound like at all time? When people say hi to you and then you don't sound like that, do they freak?
Yeah. I think like sometimes I'll get recognized and then they'll hear my voice and be like, oh, that's not you. That's not you. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. It's not me.
Like you're putting on a fake voice for them in real life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what about you, Jackée? Where did Sandra's voice, that real high pitch, where did that come from the first time?
I had a girlfriend in school, her name was Val Jean Dean, and she had asthma. And we were out one day, and this is the one that gave me my first joint. And wine. Anyway, Boone's Farm, y'all don't know nothing about that. Anyway, it was cheap wine, and we were out, and it was Christmas, and it was cold, and we were outside smoking. I'm like, oh, I'm so cold. She's like, chestnuts roasting on the open fire, cross nipping at your ass. And I never forgot that, and Lucille Ball and Mae West. So it's the combination of all three. And the walk just came from, I don't know, one day my skirt was so tight. It was every day. And I just, and they laughed and they said, do some more. And the late, great Brandon Tartikoff was my angel. So I talked to you earlier about angels. He gave me the job because I was not going to get the job. And he said, no, she's got the job, And he said, no, just do more of that. And, you kind of go, isn't it too much? No, and Byron's like that. Now, do that, because people won't tell you to do that. Because I can tell you from your character from the first time, you've definitely evolved. I can see it because they want you to do more, and they've written it for you. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you might have held back. You think, you know what I mean? You might have been okay. She all right. You know what I mean?
Do they always want more out of Bernadette? Do they always want more character and more everything? Because I see what you're saying with Sandra, certainly.
They don't specifically say it. No, I think the great thing about our writers is that it's very much like in the script. So
that's more you.
They're fantastic. It's all there. We get these little presents of these fantastic.
What kind
scripts.
of presents?
Oh, the script present. Oh, I don't get presents. Jokes.
Y'all get presents? No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So the last thing about the public personal life. Do you ever miss the anonymity? Like it's all great. It seems all great on the outside, but do you ever miss any of the freedom to just be able to go do your thing and not have anyone point at you or any of that stuff?
I definitely. I mean, I feel like I'm doing what I've always loved to do, so I can't complain about that. There's some weird things like just I really like to go to like the grocery store in my sweats, and I'm realizing recently that I'm horrifying people with my no makeup and I often dress like a 14-year-old prepubescent boy in my time off. Like that is my go-to look.
Which is what exactly? It's
like a baseball hat. Actually, when I lived in New York, I was walking to do a show one night, and it was like, I was walking, I think, from my apartment on the Upper East Side to one of the clubs, and I was in a baseball hat and a jean jacket, and I had a book bag on, which is like basically how I would like to dress all the time. And I was passing by a school that was getting out, and I felt a hand on my backpack that pulled me back, and it was the principal, and I turned around, and he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I thought you were one of the kids who was getting out early. So basically that's how I dress, is like a schoolboy on the Upper East Side of New York.
Yeah. Jackée, do you miss it at all? Just a little bit of the anonymity? And
I miss the fact that I can't go on a date with a guy, and then we go out for a couple of dates, and then I realize they're only going out with me because I'm Jackée. That I hate. Yeah. And I don't mind it, but it's like, and I didn't think it was me, but it's like, man, like, they're cool. Then you take them to a big A-list party, and they lose their mind. And you realize, oh, shoot. It really is. That's what I miss. I miss that.
So how do you meet a guy then? How would you meet a guy?
I don't know, I'm on the corner handing out flyers.
We'll do it
No,
for
I meet
you.
them everywhere. I meet a lot of men.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of men, but honest ones, no. See, she's got a good one, but I had 3 good ones. I don't know what happened.
You had 3. That could be enough for some people.
I messed it up.
Not for you. All right.
No, they were good guys.
All right, last topic, people. Comedy, I really, truly believe this, and this is why I got into comedy in the first place. It causes change, and if you tell the truth and you do it in a funny way, you can cause great social change. And Jackée, you were the first African-American woman to ever win an Emmy for...
And still, that's a shame.
Is it still? So for supporting actress, I think that was 1989, am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that those shows around that time, from 227 and Amen, The Cosby Show for me, they allowed America to see black people in a different way, which then had something to do, I believe, with having a black president. And now you're playing a character on a show that's about a black president. It's art imitating life, imitating art.
Sister-in-law. Oh,
yeah.
I love it. And that was no character, by the way. He wrote that in.
Really?
I came to the audition
that
to do
right?
grandmother, the part that Marla Gibbs is doing.
Yeah.
I was going to do that part. And then he said, oh, you ain't nobody's grandmother.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm not.
And
Yeah.
Marla said, okay, I'll take it.
I'm going to leave that alone.
Wait, but did you realize at the time when you're doing this stuff, like how important that is? I didn't realize that another African American woman hasn't won.
I do now, but not then.
Yeah.
'Cause I figured another one, will come along, but you don't do that. I didn't do it for that purpose, But it's great, but I would like another one to happen. So that's what I'm about, mentoring.
Yeah.
That's why all the daily tweets in the morning, affirmation, so that you can feel better and get it done. Go to work and sink your teeth into it. Don't be afraid, because sometimes women, we pull back.
Yeah.
But we've been taught that way because, we don't want to be noticed. It's about modesty and all that. But, my Angela, modesty must fall away like a cloak.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about.
Well, one thing that I think is really cool about Big Bang is you guys have made nerd culture and being smart actually feels cool suddenly. Is that something that you're very aware of? That, like, you guys are talking about science all the time. You have great scientists on the show. You had Stephen Hawking. I mean, you've had some amazing people on there. Do you feel that, like, it's actually doing something good beyond just making people laugh?
Absolutely. I think it's really special. Just on tape nights, our fantastic warm-up comedian asks the audience what this show means to them, and we get to hear how a lot of the audience feels that this is the first time that we've seen characters like this portrayed on TV, and people who like the things that a lot of this country likes, that a light has not been shined on that before, and I think they do such a fantastic job of that.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's like all these nerds coming out of the closet? I have to, legally, in this show, I have to make one gay reference somehow, but I feel like the nerds are getting like...
Is that true legally in this show?
On this paperwork here, I have
see
to
that.
make one somewhere.
It just says one gay reference.
One
that's
gay
it.
reference, that's it. It's like all these nerds are finally getting they're getting validated by you guys. It's really cool, I think.
It's very cool. I mean, I was a nerd growing up. I mean, a different kind of nerd.
You were like a theater nerd?
Yeah, like a comedy nerd, obviously, doing impressions for show and tell. But and I think it's really cool. I think that we've all been underdogs at some point in our life, and it's really cool to see a group of underdogs who are doing their thing, and they're smart and they're successful, and it's really nice. And I also like the fact that it's, both myself and mine play scientists on the show, and it's two female characters both playing scientists, whereas I think, a lot of times you would say, like, okay, well, that'll be the scientist character, and then that's it. And it's a group of smart people who are all doing something in that field, which I think is really neat.
And Mayim's, isn't she a neuroscientist in real life or something? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She is?
Yeah.
For real?
She's heavy, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Dr. Mayim Bialik.
Wow. Do you refer to her as doctor behind the
I do.
Behind the scenes?
I do. It took me a while. First, I was just calling her Blossom, and then she let me call her Doctor.
Yeah. Pretty good. Well, because I mentioned the coming out of the closet thing, Jackée, I know that the gays love you. What is it about you that you think the gays just adore?
Gay man gave me my name.
Is
Andre
it?
DeShields, Jackée. That's right. Yes, and I've dressed and been with them, and I've been in love with gay men. And people always say, "What does that mean?" I said, "Love has nothing to do with sexuality or choices. It just has to do with love." So it's just a connection. You know what I mean? It's not just because you're gay. I don't like all gay men, but I haven't found one I don't like. So.
But don't you think there's something, because you're so infectious and there's something so warm about you, that gay people, for some reason, are always attracted to that? Sort of like a moth to a flame. They always love people that are sort of bigger than
we
life.
all love the same movies.
And
Sunset Boulevard, one of my favorites. I mean,
you're
it's
very
just,
theatric. That's
yes, but I think it just happened. I mean, it's like Bette Midler, who I loved growing up. It's just something you have or you don't. It's not something you are. You know what I mean?
I do. And Melissa, speaking of the gay thing, I have to reveal a little something, that you and my grandma were literally the only two people that when I came out, they said, "Oh, I thought maybe."
Wait, I didn't know your grandma also.
My grandma said that she was in the theater in the 30s, so she thought which really wasn't even true. That's a whole other side family story. But can you explain to the good people why you thought maybe that I was? I believe it involves a drink that I might have ordered at a restaurant that you were working at.
Oh, I forgot. Yes. Didn't I say to you, because you ordered a mojito?
Yeah. A mojito, Jackie. Does a mojito strike you as a gay drink?
No.
And yet I ordered.
You had to be there. That's one of those things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think I was joking.
From now on, anybody else mojito's gay. I got it.
Mojito is.
You want a
gay.
mojito?
Yeah. You were joking?
Yeah. I mean.
I thought you were on to me. I thought the mojito. I didn't drink a mojito for 10 years after that.
I was very much. I mean, there was a part of me that was definitely like surprised, but also, all right. I was excited for you.
Yeah.
Mojito and all.
Cool. All right, one more thing on the Rubin Report. We just started this last week. Just one final thought, and it's something that you started talking about a little bit earlier. I want to know when you guys truly felt like you arrived, because I can honestly tell you that this moment, right this second, the fact that I'm sitting here with Melissa, who I started doing stand-up with, and who has gone on to so many great things, and that the way that we connected on Twitter, and that you're sitting here, and that I knew Melissa always loved what you did, and that I was able to bring you two together, this is truly one of those moments for me. And I want to know when, for both of you guys, you felt like
you took the words right out of my mouth, actually.
Come on,
no, I'm serious. Watching Jackée watch me do an imitation of her when I was 7 years old, like that to me is it's very full circle to me and very exciting.
Well, Jackée, if you now say this is your moment too, this whole place is going to explode. So
No, that's not my moment. Sorry.
No, that's why I like her, because she's honest.
No, when was it? When was it for you that you really thought, okay, it's okay now, I'm here?
Actually, it happens every day, because little girls come up to me and boys, 3 and 4 and 5 years old, Jackée! That's when you know you've arrived.
Wow.
You know, because it's longevity. If you can stay around long enough and still be viable and still, you know, it makes you feel good. You know, you don't feel like when you get out of the tub, you know, you have to push the button. You know, it really does. It keeps you vibrant. But I knew I had I made it when I went into a restaurant and Milton Berle said, "Oh, here comes Gladys Knight and the Pips. Hey, Jackée." You know, I was with my brothers. I knew
really
I made it. I was
cool.
insulted, but I remember going, he knows me. I couldn't believe it.
That's as good as it
And
gets.
he showed me some other things too. We'll talk about that another show.
Oh, he showed you the. Do you know what she's referring to?
Yes, I want her to
It's true.
elaborate.
It's true.
Come on,
true.
you can listen.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Okay, anyway.
Whoa! Did it actually make that sound?
Yeah, thud.
A thud. It would be great
Everyone's
if it
going to
made
be
a kerplop.
Googling what is Jackée talking about right now. Is that really a Comedy Insider thing? We know what we're talking about, but do the people?
I feel like it's.
Most people know.
If you
It
know
was
who
true.
Milton Berle is, then
He asked me if I
you
wanted
know
to see it. I
better
said,
than-
yeah. Who wouldn't
He
say?
showed it to you?
Yeah.
We're talking about Milton Berle's penis,
And
by
that
the way.
wasn't the moment that you felt that you arrived? Was
No,
seeing
when he
that?
called my name, when he said, "Hey, Jackée."
And
this
the-
is loud. This is like a Moose on Frank's old rest. You know, when you go, and I was all dolled up. You know, I used to go out dolled up every day, by the way.
Really?
Oh, heels, everything. Lonnie Anderson taught me that I was done up everywhere I went.
See, I feel like I need to learn from that and
You're
not
walking
dress
around
as like a
in-
14-year-old
It
boy.
really does work.
Really?
It really. I mean, Kim Kardashian. For everything people say or you don't say about her, she's stunning. She
Yes,
is. I met her and I went, oh, I see.
So
She is
every day you
gorgeous.
would get up and.
Lashes, everything, and it worked, you know. And I always had an entourage, but now, child, I don't want anybody with me.
Well, I think we're just going to keep
Learn.
doing this. We'll shut the cameras, but we're going to keep going. I genuinely thank you guys.
Thank you.
And both of you are, well, you know how I feel about you. And Jackée, now you know too. And I thank you guys for watching. And I again thank you guys. And we'll keep talking. We'll get some fashion tips from Jackée and all that good stuff. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Scandalous.
Bonobos.com is the official outfitter of the Rubin Report. Enter code TRR20 for 20% off your first purchase.